I've reached the point where I no longer require your presence, so it's time for you to depart. I've been diligently working from home, contributing without restraint. However, the dynamics shifted when my parents, following my sister's lead, insisted that I vacate. The familial treatment of both myself and my dog as mere inconveniences became unbearable. Faced with such circumstances, I decided to assert my independence and do as I please. And so my journey of retribution unfolded. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Kathy, a 33-year-old single woman employed as a freelance web designer. My work primarily involves using a laptop, providing me the flexibility to operate from the comfort of my home. I've established my own workspace and dictate my work pace accordingly. However, the tranquility was disrupted 2 years ago when my parents paid a visit. Upon entering, they surveyed the space and initiated a conversation. "Mom, this house is quite spacious. We could live here too. Dad, there's even a spare room. It's a waste for Kathy to live here alone. Let's move in this weekend." Their decisions were made without regard for my perspective. I expressed my lack of intention to live with them, only to be dismissed. "Wait a minute. I don't want to live with you guys," I asserted. My dad, growing agitated, responded, "You took over this house from your uncle. It's a low move to make it yours." I countered, "I talked to my uncle and he gave it to me." His anger flared as he retorted, "Stop making excuses. We're moving in this weekend. Our old house is falling apart." In reality, my uncle, my father's brother, had bestowed upon me this house out of genuine concern. Although the title remained in my uncle's name, he granted me the freedom to use it as I saw fit. Disregarding this, my parents deemed their current residence too dilapidated, prompting them to impose their decision to move into the house I inherited. Despite my reluctance, my parents were resolute, having already decided to sell their home and relocate under my roof. Despite feeling obligated, I reluctantly acquiesced to my parents' request. However, the moment they settled in, sarcastic remarks began to flow. My dad took the lead, commenting, "Kathy, you're over 30. Aren't you planning to get married?" I calmly responded, "I'm enjoying my work right now." Undeterred, my dad warned, "If you keep talking like that, you'll never get married. Learn something from your sister." Despite the evident struggles in my sister's married life, I had no desire to rush into matrimony. I stood my ground, highlighting my decent job. "You're always just messing around on your computer. You're probably making money through some shady means, aren't you?" Dad added, expressing doubts about my work. In response, I had to clarify that I was making an honest living through legitimate means, assuring them there was no need for concern. However, my explanation seemed to irk my mother, who accused me of talking back. In their eyes, I became the polar opposite of my sister, and this comparison became a recurring theme in our family interactions. My sister held a temporary office job, a choice I respected but couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority over. My freelance career allowed me to earn more, a fact that fueled the undercurrent of tension between us. While I understood that our parents' generation might struggle to grasp the concept of working from home, it remained hurtful to endure constant belittlement. One evening, as I prepared dinner for my perpetually idle parents, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. To my astonishment, my sister Sandy stood there, burdened with a substantial amount of luggage. "Sandy, what's going on?" "It's been a long time," I greeted her, my confusion evident. "This is sudden, but I'll be living in this house from today," Sandy announced matter-of-factly. I couldn't quite grasp the situation and blurted out, "Living here from today? I didn't hear anything about this. Didn't Mom and Dad tell you?" "I got divorced," Sandy explained with a sigh. "So I'll be counting on you from today." Ignoring my shock, Sandy trudged upstairs and likely took over an empty room. Despite my best efforts to resist, my parents sided with Sandy, leaving me powerless to oppose the decision. From that moment on, my stress began to pile up, and the dynamics in our household shifted significantly. Sandy had quit her job following her divorce, spending her days at home. Unfortunately for me, she used that time to engage in conversations with our mother, often revolving around her critiques of me. "Hey Mom, isn't this dress cute?" Sandy would ask. "Oh yes, Sandy, you're so pretty." "It will definitely suit you," my mother would respond. "Do you think so too?" It's totally not something Kathy would wear, right? Sandy would press. My mother, eager to support Sandy, would chime in. Well, Kathy is a bit plain, you see. That's why she can't get hired anywhere. That's why she can't get hired anywhere. Mom, you can't just say the truth like that. Sandy would laugh, creating an atmosphere of constant comparison between us. As I continued preparing dinner in the kitchen, they made sure I could hear every word of their conversation. Every word stung, and I was dying to retaliate. However, I knew that reacting would only give them what they wanted. Regardless of their provocations, I maintained my silence and continued living my life without responding to their jabs. Then one day, a close friend of mine had a litter of 4 adorable puppies, and I couldn't resist adopting one. I named him Muffin, a little black chihuahua with the most endearing round eyes. Whenever he looked at me, he'd wag his tail so vigorously that it seemed like it might break off. Owning a chihuahua had been a childhood dream of mine. Working from home could be isolating, and I believed that Muffin could provide some much-needed companionship and comfort. From today onwards, you're Muffin, okay? I said to him with a smile. In response, Muffin joyfully barked, "Woof." I hadn't really consulted my family before deciding to get Muffin, but this was my house, and I was the one who would pay for everything Muffin needed. I didn't see why they should be upset about it. When I brought Muffin home just as expected, my parents and Sandy started complaining. "We didn't know you were getting a dog." "Yeah, dogs smell and I don't like odors. How could you bring a dog home without asking us?" "We didn't agree to this." As they complained loudly, I calmly explained. "Firstly, I didn't pick him up from the street. A friend gave him to me, and I'm the one who's going to pay for everything Muffin needs. So there shouldn't be a problem. What I choose to keep in my house is my business. If you have any complaints, you're free to leave." Initially, they complained a lot and were really angry. But within a few hours, they were completely charmed by Muffin's cuteness. They started gushing over him, saying things like, "Aren't you cute? Are you mommy, daddy, or sis? Look over here, sweetheart." I was a bit puzzled. What happened to their anger just a little while ago? It seemed like it was all a dream. My whole family was completely taken by Muffin's adorableness. Since then, they were always fussing over Muffin. Thanks to this, their hostility towards me lessened, and I could have relatively peaceful days. But one day something happened that disrupted this calmness. While I was out running an errand, I received a call from my sister Sandy. She sounded really upset, yelling, "Come back home now." Surprised by her sudden outburst, I asked, "What happened?" She vented her anger at me, shouting, "It's not what happened, it's who happened. Muffin did his business on my clothes. What if they smell?" I tried to calm her down, saying, "Oh, just wash them quickly and they'll be fine. Besides, isn't it your fault for leaving your clothes all over the floor?" Sandy didn't back down, insisting, "What? It's my fault? It's your poor training of Muffin to blame." I replied, "Come on, Sandy. Muffin is still a puppy. If you take him out for a walk, he won't do his business at home. You said you were excited to walk Muffin today. Did you actually take him?" Sandy hesitated, saying, "Well, I was gonna take him later." Unsatisfied, she added, "It's all because you didn't teach him properly, but pay me for the clothes." When I got home, my sister was still very angry. My parents were informed of the situation, and they looked at me disapprovingly. Sandy threw the soiled clothes at me and started freaking out, saying, "I'm gonna charge you for the cleaning cost." "Okay, why should I?" "It's because you didn't take him for a walk and left your clothes thrown on the floor." I tried to defend myself, saying, "Shut up, don't talk back. It's because you brought this dog home that this happened. What are you gonna do about it?" Sandy continued, "Stupid dog. You were quite fond of him before. Isn't it harsh to call him a stupid dog just because he had a little accident? It's because of your poor training. Take responsibility." I couldn't help but feel frustrated by my family's focus on their own convenience and lack of understanding. While appalled by my selfish sister, my parents chimed in. "Hey Kathy, shouldn't you at least apologize to Sandy first?" "That's right. All of this happened because of that Muffin you brought home," they added. I sighed and tried to reason. "Can't both of you give it a rest already? Puppies are like babies. Can't you forgive them for making mistakes once in a while?" But my sister remained unrelenting, saying, "Pathetic. This situation only happened because of this stupid dog. Kathy, you made the right choice by not getting married. If you became a mother, I doubt you'd raise a decent child." I was shocked and hurt by my sister's words. "How dare you say something like that? If you took him for walks properly and kept the house tidy, none of this would have happened." Finally, my sister raised her eyebrow and pointed at me, saying, "I can't take it anymore. I don't need you or this dumb dog. Get out of this house." I was taken aback. "What? Didn't you hear me?" I said, "Get out. We don't need a work-from-home freeloader here." A work-from-home freeloader, I thought to myself. How could someone currently without a job say such a thing? And who did they think was paying for the household expenses? It was me. As I stood there, bewildered by my sister's outrageous statement, even my parents chimed in, repeating, "That's right, Kathy. Leave this house. Your presence only makes us feel worse. You're a jinx." All three of them kept saying, "Get out," right in front of me. At that moment, my anger exploded, and I decided I had reached my limit. If this is how it's gonna be, just wait. I decided to take revenge on my family. So I packed my things and left the house with Muffin. In the end, my sister added fuel to the fire, saying, "This is all your fault, you know. If you would just listen to me obediently, none of this would have happened." They still didn't seem to understand their situation, even though trouble awaited them. But I decided to let it go. "Well, never mind. You three enjoy yourselves in the house," I thought to myself, suppressing a grin as I left with Muffin. A few days later, as expected, my sister suddenly called me. "Kathy, help. What happened to the house all of a sudden?" I asked, puzzled. "We were told to leave by the end of this month." So what's the problem? Why do we have to leave?" "Well, I've decided to sell the house," I calmly announced. Sandy, my sister, seemed frozen with shock. Her voice trembled as she managed to say, "What? What does that mean? You've decided to sell it? You don't have the authority." "Well, I do. You see, that house has officially been mine for a month now." "What?" Sandy exclaimed in disbelief. Yes, I had officially received the house from my uncle. Of course, the title is in my name. It's no surprise that Sandy was shocked. "You're kidding, right? Even if the title was transferred to you by Uncle, you can't just sell it so easily," Sandy protested. I shared her concern, but I continued. "I was worried too, but right after you told me to leave, I consulted with Uncle. He said, 'The house is yours now, Kathy. Do what you want. You should get away from that stupid family as soon as possible.'" Sandy couldn't believe it. No way. Whether they were listening to my conversation with Sandy on the phone speaker or not, my parents started making a fuss. "Hey, Kathy, cut it out. We have no other place to live if we leave the house." "That's right," my mother chimed in. "It's unthinkable to do this to your own family. If you're a good daughter, show some respect to your parents." I asked them with a quiet voice, "Do you understand now?" "Respect? What are you talking about? You've always looked down on me. Compared to Sandy, who you think has been supporting your life for the past few years, you all had nowhere to live. So I reluctantly let you all live with me." My parents were at a loss for words after my unusually strong tone. Without waiting for a response, I continued, "Who treated me and Muffin like nuisances and kicked us out? It was you guys, wasn't it? Trying to be happy by driving out the original residents is shameless. You people belong in hell." My father begged, "Please help us. We're sorry, but I was resolute. I don't care. Fend for yourselves, you idiots." With that, I hung up the phone with a loud click. Next, I blocked every family member's contacts. Muffin looked up at me with a worried woof. I held Muffin close and said, "I'm sorry, Muffin, for shouting. Quick, it's all right now. I will protect you." I'm really glad that I was able to get Muffin away from that family that treated him so poorly. Later on, it seems my parents and sister were forced to move out of the house at the last minute despite their desperate clinging. With my father's meager income and my unemployed mother and sister, there's no way they can lead a decent life. According to rumors, my sister is constantly being nagged by my parents to get a job. And their family relationships seem to be getting worse by the day. Although I have no interest in how they live, there's no doubt that their standard of living has plummeted since I left. This is indeed a case of reaping what you sow. serves them right. Meanwhile, I'm spending my days in fulfillment with my beloved dog in a new, pet-friendly apartment. I can work whenever I want, and no one can complain about it anymore. I can use my earnings solely for myself and my dog. I am extremely happy with my life now. Muffin, let's go to the dog park today, I exclaimed. Muffin seemed more lively, maybe because that noisy family is gone. From now on, I want to protect Muffin for the rest of my life, and lead a peaceful life.